All right, everyone, there's a couple brand new Nintendo Switch stories we need to talk about today, starting with what I would consider to be a very good sign for Nintendo participating in major gaming events such as E3 2023 going forward. Then the big talking point for today's video has to do with the surprise Nintendo Switch Online app update that hit late yesterday, a breakdown of what was changed, and a large discussion around where Nintendo is with their online service offerings in 2022. What's up, nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we got a couple different stories to break down and unpack today, and we have to kick it off with a conversation around Nintendo and their participation in major gaming events going forward, such as E3, because clearly we have had a rocky history with that recently, as E3 has been entirely canceled 2 out of the last 3 years, and then even one of the years that it was here was just a digital only event. Of course, mainly that was driven by the pandemic and things, but there definitely has been some very big issues with the ESA and their planning around events like E3. And while this particular news story does not confirm that Nintendo will be at E3 next year, I do think it is a very good sign, as the same company who is now behind E3 and the organization and who is holding the event known as ReedPop that is partnering with the ESA is actually holding PAX West 2022, and we now have official confirmation of Nintendo's involvement, as you can see the following posted up over on Nintendo Everything, where it says Nintendo and more confirmed for PAX West 2022. PAX West 2022 is returning to close out the summer, and some of the companies attending the show have now been named, and Nintendo is included. ReedPop says Nintendo, Sega, Bandai Namco, MiHoYo, Tiny Build, Devolver Digital, Yacht Club Games, and more are some of the biggest publishers in gaming excited to showcase their latest and greatest at the event. We'll also be seeing developers like Larian Studios, Tripwire Interactive, Thunderful Games, and more on the Expo floor, ready with both beloved and unannounced titles. Other confirmed companies include Intel, AMD, Asus, and Aorus, Gigabyte, AAA, Finji Entertainment, Koch Media, Brace Yourself Games, Raw Fury, Studio Wildcard, Yes Bird Games, I don't know if that's how you say it, and PM Studios. So while that is no means confirmation that Nintendo will once again align themselves with E3 when it is claimed to be back in full force in 2023 with both a in-person and digital event taking place simultaneously, however, I do think that this is a very good news scenario for Nintendo and their participation, specifically with ReedPop, the same organizer that will be hosting E3 next year. And I don't know about you guys, maybe not everybody feels like E3 needs to be a thing, and I totally get that perspective in the modern era with companies being able to communicate directly with their fan bases, but I will tell you, for me personally, I love to have that one calendar week of just banger game announcements one after another from every major company, and I'm very hopeful that Microsoft, and maybe if we're extremely lucky, even Sony, realign themselves with E3 as well as Nintendo next year, and we see that classical showcase that was once known as by far and away the biggest gaming event of the year, year in and year out. Yes, it's had some quality issues in recent years, but I think the E3 can return in a big way and be around for a long time to come, with a lot of fun to be had in person for people who can attend, and just a solid announcement schedule for those fans that are at home that like to kind of know what to expect in terms of when to be paying attention for big surprise new game drops, gameplay reveals of existing titles, and all of the great things that we typically associate with things like these type of conventions. Now, in terms of PAX West 2022, I wouldn't be expecting any kind of major announcements from Nintendo, but they will have some booths up from the sound of things, so Nintendo likes to do these events right when they do participate, so it may be interesting to actually see in what capacity they show up and how much hands-on of unreleased games and upcoming games will be featured at the event. Will we see new footage of things that we know to be out later in the year, like Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, Bayonetta 3, and so forth? Maybe, maybe not, but I'm a huge fan of these gaming conventions at the end of the day, and Nintendo being on a good terms basis with ReedPop right now definitely has me excited for the prospect of them coming back in a big way in E3 2023. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below, all your thoughts and feelings around Nintendo and this PAX West announcement, and what you think Nintendo will do when it comes to E3 2023 in the future. Are you a fan of these type of in-person gaming events? Do you think that everything should just be direct Twitter drops? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings around all things with the future of these gaming conventions, I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Now, the other story we're talking about today has to do with Nintendo Switch Online, which we just talked about yesterday, and we even poked fun at that smartphone app that I think nobody uses and has downloaded. I am an active Nintendo Switch player, and I've never touched the thing, although I have downloaded it just to see when updates do come out, if there is any kind of notable functionality around them. And we had a brand new update hit late last night where you can see the following once again posted up over on Nintendo Everything, where it says Nintendo Switch Online app update out now. Version 2.2.0 patch notes. A new update just went out for the Nintendo Switch Online mobile app, with users now being able to access version 2.2.0. A couple of new features are included here. First, it's now possible to send friend requests with a friend code, though they can only be accepted on the Switch itself. Functionality has also been added so that you can copy your friend code as a URL and or save it as a QR code. So basically, the two notable features that have been added to this app since it was originally released back in 2018 is now the ability to do this friend code, send the invite, but not actually accept it. Like, think about that for a second. And then I guess the one thing you can say is it's kind of cool that a friend code can now be a QR code, but at the same time, why do we have friend codes in 2022? And the other update that they did before that was notable was add a light and dark theme mode to this app. So it's like, Nintendo, what are you doing in 2022 when every gaming company that are your competitors have supported on console chat since the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation of gaming? It was in full effect. You could even make it work on the original Xbox that really paved the way for that. We are talking 20 years in the past. We have had this kind of things start to bleed into console gaming, and Nintendo, for whatever reason, continues to have that very old school mentality with not wanting to be involved with chat. You can parental lock it if you want to. You can do all these different things to take away your own responsibility from being involved in hosting that kind of service, but I definitely think we need to see overhaul to services like this in the modern era. And again, the friend code thing, it's like we don't have usernames on a Nintendo platform to try to friend request and accept requests from people, and it's a one-way send where you can't even add the person on the smartphone app that you sent the request on. You have to do it on the Switch. If that doesn't show you that Nintendo needs to spend some of their NSO dollars that they are generating, which by the way is a ton of revenue for them, to actually go in and do some R&D and get a solid online infrastructure that needs to be effective now on the Switch, but also when we start talking about things like the next gen console needs to already be up and running. These are not features that are asking too much. These are basic expectations in the online environment. You can't send a message to your friend on the Nintendo Switch console to say, hey, hop online, I'm going to be playing this game. Yes, people can use Discord. I use Discord. It's my preferred platform. In a perfect world, Nintendo would just partner with Discord like we've seen Sony do recently, although the online functionality is not fleshed out yet for the PS5. And then Microsoft actually with their Insiders program already going live with the Discord app that you can go ahead and chat with your friends. So if Nintendo wants to just do that path, I'm all for it. I just think they have to have some kind of onboard solution that you can communicate with your friends, because if you have a gaming headset, it's not the easiest thing for everybody that doesn't have a PC setup and a capture card to have all their audio coming through the correct place and have a simple, seamless online gameplay experience in 2022. So it says a lot about Nintendo with releasing the smartphone app, continuing to support it with these kind of updates, and where their mindset is as far as how people communicate and gamers communicate in the modern day. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below at this point in the video, both the different stories we talked about today. How are you feeling about E3 and future conventions and Nintendo's involvement in them going forward? And then definitely share with me what you want to see when it comes to Nintendo Switch Online in terms of basic functionality. Are you a fan of things like usernames and thinks that that's how we should be adding people as opposed to these 12-digit friend codes that nobody has memorized? What do you think about the QR code functionality of this? Because that is the one positive I can see from the smartphone app update. Are you somebody who actually uses the smartphone app, or are you like me and literally never touch it other than maybe checking out if there is a notable update that comes to it? And what would you like to see Nintendo do when it comes to the communication on the platform for gamers on the Switch in the future? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings and everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, where we discuss the current state of Nintendo Switch Online in all offerings for both the base tier and the expansion pack tier in 2022. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.